So to create the little chick on my alternative die, I used this stamp set here from Stampers Anonymous. It's called Mini Bird Crazy and Things. And then I also used this one here called Crazy Talk. So I stamped my images with Memento ink. And I'm going to color my... I'm sorry. Stamping and talking at the same time sometimes is hard. I'm going to color my images with Copic markers because it's my favorite way to color images. You could use dye-based markers. Copics are just my favorite. I just like how you can get some beautiful blending in with them. But either way, whatever your personal preference. If you're more interested in learning more about Copic markers, I do have a class on it that teaches you some tips, tricks, and techniques about it. But this is just some of the basics. Oops. Now, I misstamped that, and normally I would, oh, I actually corrected it perfectly just through dumb luck there. Normally I would take a new piece of paper and restamp it if I messed up, but I actually fixed it properly there. All right, so coloring with your markers. So with Copics, now I've got my mat sitting right underneath there, and I don't want it there while I'm coloring, because I don't want to be transferring ink over onto it. So I'm just going to take a scrap piece of paper here. And by using a scrap piece of paper, any of the ink that bleeds through, and it typically does bleed through, will go down into that scrap and that will absorb it. So in order to do some blending with Copics, you're going to start with a light color. And then I'm going to put my darker color where I want it to be. Now with these stamps, it's really quite easy because it's got some cross hatch marks. And I'm using that to show me where the shading is on these particular ones. If you happen to have stamps that don't have those cross hatches, you can choose wherever you want your shading to be. You choose where you want your light source, where you want it to be the lightest, and then from there choose where you want your shadows. Typically the lightest part is the top, and then the darkest part is the bottom, unless you choose to have your light coming from one of the sides or whatnot. All right, so for the bird, I'm just painting or coloring him, her, pink, just as a base to start. And then I'm going to take the turquoise color that I used in my balloon, and I'm going to put a little bit on the tail, feather a tiny bit in. I'm going to have a little bit of the turquoise color on the underside here. Now typically it's easier to blend colors when, like say, a light pink and a dark pink, when they're the same colors but just two different values. For this one here, I'm just blending the pink and the blue, and you're going to get a tiny little bit of purple where the two of them blend. But I just wanted a little bit of an opposite color on my bird there. And you don't have to color it the same colors as I am. I'm choosing my colors based on the base that I did my die in. I want something that will coordinate with that. And then for some reason I wanted the bird to be pink. That was my reason for choosing the colors. Orange beak, and I'm going to put the darker orange on the bottom. So you'll notice that I go with my first color, then I'll do my shading with my darker color, and then I go back over with the lighter color to blend the two of them in. And then I find it looks a little bit better if you've got a bit of a shadow underneath them. It kind of grounds them, gives them a little bit of base. So I'm taking a light gray and just putting a little bit underneath there, and then I'm taking a lighter gray and just feathering it out. And these markers, they take a few minutes to dry, so they will blend a little bit more as they dry. So that's all I'm doing for this particular one. So I'm going to glue that right onto the black mat that I have, and then you can glue it right to the side of your cube. And I typically would glue these on after your piece is completely done. They're really easy to glue on, so you don't need to do them before you assemble your cube. That way you can make sure they're all facing the way that you want them to face.